looking forward to this session since the very first day. So it's time for that session. Up next, we have Ricky Kej, Grammy Award winner, US Billboard #1 artist, UNCCD Land Ambassador, UNESCO MGIEP Global Ambassador for Kindness, UNICEF Celebrity Supporter, Earth Day Network Ambassador, and a favorite of all the children here today. So let's hear it up for him. And our kid here has another question for this guest as well.
Hello, Ricky Anna. You create such wonderful music, and at the same time, you are working hard to bring about awareness on climate change. We are looking forward to hear you, Anna.
Okay, what's your name?
Yashashwini.
Yashashwini. Thank you so much, Yashashwini. And wonderful. So do I get started now?
Yes, Anna.
Yes, Anna.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So hello, everyone. A big namaste to all of you. It's a huge honor for me to speak to you today at this awesome Parikrama Festival of Science. Now, Parikrama is one of the most inspiring schools, institutions that I've seen in the world, filled with so much talent. And I've seen this talent firsthand, because I've collaborated with the students of Parikrama for singing. We also held, an art competition where students of Parikrama actually won among schools across, India. So I'm so glad that they are organizing this science festival and have invited me to speak. So thank you so much for that. So today I'm going to be speaking about music, passion, the environment, and I wish I could have delivered this in person, because being a musician, I thrive on, feeding off the energy of my audiences. But today, instead of looking at your faces, I'm looking straight into the lens of a camera. Nevertheless, such are the times. And as I said, I'm just honored to be here. So to start off with this talk, just wanted to say that I'm going to be very casual, and we're just going to have a little bit of fun. And I'll need to speak a little bit more about my personal journey of growing up and becoming who I am, because it is a journey of music and the environment. So as I was introduced, I'm Ricky Kej. I'm a musician. I'm an environmentalist, two pillars that have pretty much dictated my whole life and all of my life decisions. And for the last few years, the only kind of music that I make is about the environment, sustainability, and positive social impact around those areas of environment and sustainability. So ever since I remember, I've always been a musician. So my ears have always been more important than my eyes. So while my classmates in school were very fascinated by television, by cartoons, by video games, by television shows, I was obsessed with my music system. So I would listen to music all day long. I would listen to the songs. I would pull apart the songs, try to understand the different instruments used in every single song. And I would try to learn about different cultures, different people, different thought processes through listening to music. So, and it was through music that I fell in love with nature, and I fell in love with the natural world, because I found a very deep connection between music and nature. And, and now, of course, I understand why I found that connection between music and nature, because how did music start? Music started off as sounds from nature. Music started off as sounds of the animals, sounds of the trees, sounds of the breeze, and sounds of the water, sounds of drops of water falling down. And later on, we humans started imitating those sounds, and then we created music in that way. And then it's only for the last few 100 years or 1,000 years that music has actually become academic by notes and scales and rags. But music and nature is just one and the same thing. So I was born in North Carolina, that is in America. I was there for about 8 years, till I was 8 years old. And we lived in a very, very small town. That small town was called Roanoke Rapids. And over there, we had a lot of trees around our home because we lived in the middle of nowhere. There were no homes next to us. It was just a lot of trees, a lot of forest areas. And in the forest areas, there were no large wild animals like tigers and lions and giraffes and all of that stuff. But there were these really small, what you call creepy crawly animals, like lizards and snakes and rodents and animals like that. And these animals, these creepy crawly animals, would constantly come into our home on a regular basis. So while my parents and my teachers would constantly tell us to run away from these animals. As soon as you see them, run away from them, or just step on them, and kill them as soon as you see them, because these are dangerous animals. These are creepy, crawly animals. While they would tell me this, I was very drawn towards them. I would look at these animals and I would try to see personality in every single animal. And I would wonder that why is everyone's reaction that as soon as we see these animals, we're just supposed to kill them? I mean, why does that happen? Because obviously, if these animals exist, they have some sort of purpose, right? Because how can they exist without any purpose? So these are the things that used to trouble me as a child. And of course, later on, when I grew up, I understood that every single animal on this planet, every single living being on this planet, no matter how seemingly insignificant that animal may be, no matter how small that animal may be, no matter how dangerous that animal may seem, all these animals, every single living being has got a purpose on this planet. And all these animals together form the ecological balance that keeps us humans alive. So without these animals, we cannot exist. So every single species, every single animal has got a purpose on our planet. And that's what I understood. So moving forward, as all of you know, it is in our 12th grade, in our 12th class, that we have to decide what we want to do for the rest of our lives. Correct? We need to decide whether we want to become a doctor or an engineer or an astronaut or a musician or whatever. And I had very strongly decided that I wanted to be a musician for the rest of my life. I wanted to be a musician professionally. I wanted music to be my life. I wanted music to be my bread and butter. And I went to my father, who is a doctor, a third generation doctor. His father and his grandfather were also doctors. So I went to him and I told him, Dad, I want to be a musician. I want music to be my profession. And he was very, very angry. He told me that how can music be a profession? You have to do a degree and only then you can do music. Music is just a hobby. But I strongly believed that music could be a profession. So there was a lot of arguments with my father, a lot of fighting and all of that stuff. And then my father and me reached an agreement that I would finish off a degree in dental surgery. And once I finish off my degree in dental surgery, once I get that degree in dentistry, then my father would never question me about anything that I do in my life. So I decided that, all right, I'll finish off this degree in dental surgery. So I went to 5 years of dental college. At the end of 5 years, I passed and I got my degree. I went very ceremoniously. I went to my father and I gave him the degree. And I told him that this degree is for you, because I'm not, even though dentistry is a very noble profession and a very important profession in society, I do not want to be a dentist. I want to be a musician. So I gave the degree certificate to my father and I became a full-time musician and I was able to do music the whole day. So anyway, so coming back to the importance of music when it comes to the problems on our planet. Now in today's world, we've got so many problems, we've got problems like, and it's been mentioned in your previous talks by some amazing speakers that you've had, that in today's world of climate change, of species extinction, deforestation, pollution, there is environmental degradation. And then there are so many society issues like poverty, hunger, gender violence, inequality, racism. It is said that the biggest threat to our environment, the biggest threat to our existence as the human species is the constant thought that we have that somebody else will make a difference. We're always waiting for governments to make a difference, for intergovernmental bodies, for NGOs, for not-for-profits, for your school teachers. We are waiting for them to make a difference. When the truth is that the only way for us to fix all of our problems is if we look inwards, and we start understanding that we can be the change that we want to see, that, that we can make small incremental changes within our own lives to make a difference. So we do not make, the reason why we do not actually change ourselves is not because we are evil people. It's just because we do not believe that the small changes we make, like stop usage of single-use plastics or cycling, or less use of fuel, or just cleaning up around our homes, or just being nice to one another. We do not believe that these small changes that we make within our own lives actually matter, but they do matter. Even if you change your life a little bit and you make small changes within your own lives to make this world a better place, the world will become a better place. And so that is really important. Behavioral change is the most important thing. Now, starting off with this, I wanted to speak first about plastics, because plastics is a huge problem. And as some of you may have read in the papers, that a plastic resolution has been adopted by the United Nations, where a whole lot of countries, over 170 countries all over the world have signed this resolution. India, in fact, took leadership when it came to this resolution. So what is plastics, first of all? Let us try to understand that. Now, plastics were invented in the early 1900s, that is, over 100 years ago, as a miracle material. It was a miracle material. It was an amazing invention. Now, why was it a miracle material? It was a miracle material because it was non-biodegradable, which means that it would not wash away. It would not break down in nature. So that is why it was a miracle material. No matter how much you put it into water, nothing happens to it. So it was amazing. But then, as I said, since plastics is non-biodegradable, it cannot wash away, then why did we humans decide that a non-biodegradable material like plastics could be disposable or could be single use, that you just use it once and throw away? How can that be possible? Because if it is non-biodegradable, it needs to be used again and again and again, right? So it does not make any sense. So if a material cannot be washed away, it cannot break down in nature, by definition, how can it be disposable? So if you think about it, every single piece of plastic that was ever made still exists on this planet in some shape or form, because it cannot wash away. It is not biodegradable. So every single straw, every single plastic bag, every single toothbrush, spoons, forks, every single thing that you throw away still exists on our earth in some shape or form. Maybe it's cut down into small and tiny pieces, but every single piece of plastic that you've thrown away still is somewhere on this planet. So if we throw away these plastics, like how we throw it away in our dustbins, or we throw it away in our recycle bins and whatnot, do we care about where it actually ends up, or what happens, or what kind of an animal it can actually kill? So most discarded plastics eventually find their way into the ocean. This is how it is. You put it into a landfill, it somehow gets into the river. Then after that, from the river, it gets into the ocean. And as much as 28 billion pounds of plastic, that is 1,400 crore kilos of plastic, that is with 9 zeros. So 1,400 crore kilos of plastic enters the ocean every single year. And unfortunately, our nation of India is one of the biggest contributors. It is one of the biggest contributors when it comes to, the plastics entering the ocean. And because of this 1,400 crore kilos of plastic that enters the ocean every single year, 1 million seabirds, that is 10 lakh seabirds, and 1 lakh marine animals are killed every single year because of plastics in the ocean. So if you think about it, these marine animals, these fishes in the ocean, they just ingest the plastics, and because of that, the plastics line their entire body cavities and their intestines, and because of that, they die. So everybody who throws away plastics are already responsible for the suffering and deaths of so many innocent animals around the world. And this is only getting worse. We need to understand that just, throwing away a plastic bag, we should not think that if we throw away a plastic bag outside our house, or throw away a plastic straw or a plastic spoon, it's just going to go somewhere. That's not the case. It's not just going to go somewhere. It is going to end up in the ocean, and it might kill a sea turtle. It might kill a dolphin. It might kill a whale on the other side of the world. Because all of our oceans are interconnected. It might just go to the other side of the world and kill a sea animal. And let me remind you that we talk about recycling plastics. Let me remind you that 91% of all plastics disposed is not recycled. So 91%, I'll repeat that, 91% of all plastics that are disposed are not recycled. So just throwing away a plastic bag or a straw in the recycle bin or outside of our homes does not absolve us of the pain and suffering that it will eventually cause to marine animals or birds or our fellow humans. So the facts are for all of us to see. Each of us have to start taking responsibility for our own actions. We have to come up with alternative solutions to plastics in our day-to-day life. And I'm really happy that we are seeing that in Bangalore and in a lot of other cities like Mumbai in the Northeast and a lot of cities across India. We are seeing plastics reducing, single-use plastics reducing in our circulation, but that has to reduce to a bare minimum right now. So it's time for us to act now when it comes to plastics. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to play you a fun song about plastics. It is called The Plastic War. Since I'm a musician, let's play this. And the lyrics are going to be on the screen so you can sing along with this particular song.
Plastic trash not going under, floating on the water. It just won't sink to the bottom of the lake. Sitting on the surface, it has no more purpose. Start the plastic war, oh yeah. No plastic trash, stop throwing it away. No plastic trash, recycle it today. For everything that's breathing, the oxygen's receding. All this garbage hurts us all. Use cloth bags or a basket. We've got to help the planet. Start the plastic war, oh yeah. No plastic trash, stop throwing it away. No plastic trash, recycle it today. It can't be broken down to turn back into soil. It's not biodegradable, so it's gonna stick around 1,000,000 years or maybe more. Start the plastic war, oh yeah. So let's replace those flimsy plates that everybody hates. Spoons and forks that cannot play their part. It is up to you and me. We've got to keep this planet clean. Start the plastic war, oh yeah. No plastic trash, stop throwing it away. No plastic trash, recycle it today. Plastic trash, stop throwing it away. No plastic trash, recycle it today. Come on now. No plastic trash, stop throwing it away. Everybody sing. No plastic trash, recycle it today. No plastic trash, stop throwing it away. No plastic trash, recycle it today.
Hey everyone, so hope you enjoyed that song and hope you sang along with it. So now I'll move on a little bit more into, into climate change. Now, there is a few of you who have actually watched some of my concerts. I know some of the students at Parikrama at least have come to a couple of my concerts. You'll know that there is a Pacific island nation called Kiribati. Now it is spelled as Kiribati, but the TI is pronounced as an S. So this particular country is called as Kiribati. Now this Kiribati is a country which is in the South Pacific. So it's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, with 21 inhabited islands. So this country has got 21 islands. They are very low-lying atoll islands, very, very low-lying islands. And the entire country is going to be the first country in the world that is going to go completely underwater due to climate change. And I will explain about that. So basically, the tallest point in any of the islands of this particular country is going to go completely underwater. So now I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you Google Earth just to show you the impact of this. let me get this right. Yeah, so you can see my screen now. So what I'm showing you is I'm showing you Google Earth. And this is, of course, the planet Earth that all of us know. And as you can see, this is what you mainly see in your geography books. So you see on posters and on images, there is North America, and then you will see South America. You move a little bit to the right, you move a little bit east, and then you'll be able to see Europe, you'll be able to see the continental Africa, you'll be able to see the Middle East. And then you move a little more. This is a very familiar sight. You'll be able to see India, you'll be able to see Russia, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Southeast Asia, and China. You'll be able to see all of that. You move a little more, another familiar sight. You'll be able to see Australia. You can see New Zealand. You can see all these amazing countries. But then what most people don't show us is that you move a little bit more, and the entire planet is blue color. There is no land over here. The entire planet is just blue. Imagine that. So if an alien species is actually looking at our planet and they see only this, they'll feel that, oh, this is just a water planet, you know. There is no land on this planet if they just see this particular image. Isn't that amazing that that's how much water we have on our planet, and that's how big, you know, the Pacific Ocean is? Now, I just spoke about Kiribati. I spoke about the country. Now, where is Kiribati located? You can't even see Kiribati. It's somewhere around here. You can't even see it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to run a search. So I'm going to search for Kiribati. I clicked on Kiribati, and now you see where Kiribati is. It's going, and there it is. So basically, you can see Kiribati over here. It is an island nation, which is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, as I mentioned. We'll go a little deeper. This entire thing used to be land. This whole thing used to be land. And now what's happened is that, as you can see, there is only land in the corners of this triangle. So there's only land in the corners of this triangle. So that is how badly this country is affected. You can see that there is an airport over here. Let it load up, let it load up. Come on. Yeah. So you can see that there is a runway and there is an airport over here. So that is the Tarawa, that is the Bon Ricky International Airport, which is in Tarawa. So you can see that. And this is basically their capital. It's completely submerged in water. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So that is how badly affected Kiribati, this particular country, is because of climate change. So the Republic of Kiribati will disappear, and we will have to redo our maps and our globes and these Google Maps, because the part where Kiribati is, there's no longer going to be any land over there. We're just going to have to paint it in blue. So I had to see this for myself. So actually, I visited this country of Kiribati. You saw that they have an airport. So I actually visited Kiribati. I spent 2 weeks over there engaging with their wonderful, wonderful citizens, their people. I fell in love with their culture. I fell in love with the beauty of the islands. And I realized that this is a country that lives within nature. They do not take from nature more than they can give back. There is no industrialization. There is no pollution. There is no major development. And yet, because of global warming and because of ocean levels rising, they are the ones who are going underwater for no fault of their own. You know, just because they're low-lying islands. Now, as we all know how climate change works, like, you know, that the sun's rays enters our planet. And then what happens is that we use those sun rays, we use the warmth for our photosynthesis, we use it for our nourishing all life. Basically, all life can exist only because of the sun's rays and because of the warmth that the sun gives us. And then the excess energy, the excess heat, the excess sun's rays bounces off and it goes back into space. But then, because of the excess amount of carbon that is in our atmosphere today, because of pollution, because of industrialization, because of cutting down of trees, all of this stuff, because of degradation of our oceans, there's so much of carbon in our atmosphere. And because there's so much of carbon in our atmosphere, what happens is that the sun's rays gets trapped in our atmosphere. Because of this, the Earth's temperature goes higher and higher. And then there are a whole lot of negative things that happen because our temperature goes higher and higher. One of the major things is that the ice in the South Pole and the North Pole, in the polar areas, the ice melts. And as we all know in our physics class, that the density of ice is more than that of water. So what happens when the ice melts? The water level goes up. And when the water level goes up, what happens is that the oceans all over, the water level goes up. And because of that, islands like Kiribati, which are low-lying islands, they're very low-lying islands. They don't have any mountains. They don't have any plateaus. They're very low-lying islands. They basically get submerged underwater. And because of this, they basically disappear. So that is what's happening. And they are not the ones who are putting the pollution in the atmosphere. We are the ones who are doing that. And they are the ones who are suffering, because at the end of the day, it is just one atmosphere. So when I met their president, he told me something very important. He said that we at Kiribati are on the front line of climate change. Now, we are on the front line of climate change because we are low-lying islands. So did you understand that? He said that the president of Kiribati said that we at Kiribati are on the front line of climate change because we are low-lying islands. So when we go underwater, then that front line will keep moving back and back till those countries and those people like us who believe that we would never be affected by climate change will eventually be affected. And that is the reality of the situation. And all the children of Kiribati, imagine this, okay? Because a lot of you are children. So all those children in Kiribati, like, who are like, young children, like just born to about like 16 or 17 years old, they will not be able to grow up in their own country because very soon they're going to become climate refugees. So they're going to have to leave their country because their homes are going to go underwater. They're going to have to go to other countries. So imagine this situation. So climate change has got victims right now. Climate change is real. And what we are doing sitting over here, the decisions that we make are having disastrous consequences on the other side of the world. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to play you a quick song explaining to you what a carbon footprint is. Now, what is a carbon footprint? A carbon footprint basically is the negative impact that we as individuals have on the planet. That is basically our carbon footprint. Carbon footprint is based on how much we use our vehicles, how many taxis we use, how much of water we use, how much of clothes we buy, everything, how much of plastics we use, how much of food we eat, how much of meat we eat. All of that comes together and it forms our impact known as our carbon footprint, how much of electricity, all of that stuff. So basically how much of negative impact we have on a planet, that is known as a carbon footprint. And that leaves a very, very bad mark on our planet. And we have to reduce our carbon footprint to as much as possible. By, as I mentioned, by using less fuel, by using our car less, by cycling, by walking, by carpooling, less use of plastic, all of that stuff. So what is very important is that we have to leave a mark on our planet, but that mark needs to be a positive mark, not a carbon footprint. We should not leave a carbon footprint on our planet. So this song that I'm going to play for you is in Hindi. It is called Carbon Footprint.
इंसानों के कुछ है निशान जो मुश्किल से जाते मिट और जो अपने हैं ये निशान इन्हें कहते हैं कार्बन फुटप्रिंट है कार्बन फुटप्रिंट पर हम मिटाएंगे ये कार्बन फुटप्रिंट मिलके मिटाएंगे ये कार्बन फुटप्रिंट कितना कुछ हम फेंकते हैं और कितना करते हैं धुआं करते पानी वेस्ट तो अपना ही नुकसान हुआ ना पर हम मिटाएंगे ये कार्बन फुटप्रिंट मिलके मिटाएंगे ये कार्बन फुटप्रिंट हम सब जो सोचे तो कुछ तो करेंगे इस मुश्किल से मिलके लड़ेंगे हाँ हम भी छोड़ेंगे कुछ तो निशान धरती पे पर वो ना होंगे कार्बन फुटप्रिंट पर हम मिटाएंगे ये कार्बन फुटप्रिंट मिलके मिटाएंगे ये कार्बन फुटप्रिंट
Thank you so much for that. And that particular singer, I just wanted to introduce her. She's Anjana Padmanabhan, a former, former Indian Idol Junior winner and a really popular singer. So I'm very grateful that she sang a song about carbon footprint. So that's how I'm going to conclude my talk right now. And I think all of us can do our part. All you kids need to realize that that in every endeavor that you do, in every profession that you go into when you grow up, you have to constantly think about that within my profession, whatever it may be IT, it may be medicine, it may be it may be being a dentist, it may be being a musician, an artist, or whatever it may be. Just try to understand as to what can you do to make this world a better place within your profession. And, and in your own small capacity. It does not have to be about changing the world. It can just be about changing your own habits. And you can start with that today itself. Just be kind to one another. That's all. Thank you so much.